Welcome back to South Bay Interviews. I'll be your host tonight. I'm Ed Antablin, and I'm here with the lovely Dr. Maryel McKinley, and she's all the way from Kansas City. How you doing, Maryel?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Ed.
How was your trip out here?
Oh, it was fantastic. It's good to be back home. I'm originally from Newport Beach, as you know.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So we're going to have some fun. We're going to talk about Dr. McKinley. By the way, she's an addictionologist, she's a journalist, and she's currently writing a book called Smashed, which we'll talk about more later. But I want to read you a little bit about her bio. She was a silver Playboy bunny. She's going to be going on the Oprah Winfrey show. She was in the Ice Capades some years back. She's been an actress. She actually did a video here called California Girls. So we'll talk about a little bit of her acting in a short while. Well, let's start this off. Why did you pick addictionology and journalism? Maybe we can take these one at a time.
Okay. Well, I've been writing since I was a little girl. I've always loved to write. And when I was in college, I did an internship with a fashion magazine. And I just loved the editing process. I loved interviewing people. I loved the descriptive words and the writing process for magazines. So I've been writing for magazines now for about 15 years. For the most part, it's been for holistic health magazines, recovery magazines, psychology magazines, and inspirational pieces.
I have here a magazine. Apparently, this is a holistic magazine,
Yes.
Awareness.
Yes.
And Dr. McKinley has done some articles. I guess you do regular articles for
Yes.
this, don't you?
I've been writing for Awareness for about 8 years. I did the feature cover story for this one, and I also do the book reviews.
Who's this lady on the cover?
That's Dr. Judith Orloff. She's a best-selling author, and she's got some fabulous work. I highly recommend her books.
And she's also one of the writers on a regular basis for, let's see, it's called Steps for Recovery, The Guide to Clean and Sober Living. This is one of them. And what's the other magazine here you do?
This is The Edge magazine. I'm actually on the cover of this one. And this is the largest holistic health magazine in the Midwest. And I do book reviews for them and some articles.
Yeah, we have this book here. What's this all about, Maryel?
Well, this is Marianne Williamson, Enchanted Love. She's a best-selling author, and I reviewed a lot of her work. I've interviewed her on television and done a lot of articles about her. I love her work. She's very inspirational, and I'm actually on the back cover of that book, so I reviewed it for the Whole Life Times.
Oh, right.
And,
I've seen you do I've read your book reviews. They're great.
Thank you.
And let's see, here's what you say about this book. Marianne Williamson has produced another magical masterpiece. If you are ready for a healing, enlightening experience, which will forever change the way you perceive and interrelate with others, this book will be the catalyst. And that's your review. So anyway, what the show's about is we just find out about you and what you're up to. And so what's with this book Smash? What's that about?
Well, SMAShed is an acronym for Smart Mothers Asking Students Help Educating Drug Abusers. And it's a drug prevention book. It's not a recovery book. This is a book that is interviews with different celebrities, actors, actresses, rock stars, and people telling their real life stories of how it was when they were out there. It's uncensored, and it's for teens and young adults. And hopefully I'll be getting Dr. Drew Pinsky, an interview with him. We're working on that from Loveline. All the kids know who he is. And we're going to try to educate the kids or the teens and the young adults on the exact truth about drugs, drug addiction, what happens, and not keep anything out. You know, there are some things that are good about it. It makes you feel good when you first start, but then it tends to downhill, and you get withdrawal symptoms. And a lot of I have a 16-and-a-half-year-old son. This is how it all started. His friends would come home from school and they'd ask me different questions because I am a drug addict, a recovering drug addict. I'm an addictionologist and a doctor, certified counselor for many years. And so they would ask me, and I would tell them the straight up truth about how it was with me. And they would sit there and ask me questions for hours and get very intrigued by this, and the expression on their face would just change, and they'd become so intrigued.
Why do you think that was?
Well, because somebody was finally being honest with them.
You think it's because you actually lived this?
Yeah, I
and you had
actually lived
changed?
this. I wasn't saying, don't use drugs, or, you know, this is what drugs do to you. Yes, I'd say exactly what it does to you, how it makes you feel, good
you
and
had
bad.
The personal experience.
Yeah, and I'm not going to lie and say that, no, it doesn't change the way you feel, because that's what they did with me when I was young, is they just said, you know, this is really bad, don't do it. So I saw all my friends using, and they were having fun, so I thought they're lying to me. So I just totally discredited what the adults said and looked at my friends. Then I had to live the experience. I was one of those people that became addicted and couldn't stop and got really, really deep involved with heavy drugs.
What made you change? What was your the final thing that hit you that got you to further your education, quit using drugs, help other people, start writing books, reviews, articles?
Well, I guess it was when I realized that you could get help. I did not know about 12-step programs, or that you could get help. But the impetus, I think, would be because of my son. And it's a great experience that I went through, because I feel now I have something to share with others, because I lived through it, and now I can help. I just have this urge to help children and teens, because I love my son so much, and now I'm pregnant right now. I'm going to be a new mother again. Yes, and it's just something that I don't want. I love children so much, and I don't want them to go through the hell and the suffering and the torture that I went through, and that people that I know went through, and you don't have to go through that. So this is what the book is about educating people about what drug abuse is, what it does, and from their celebrities, from their idols, from people they listen to and respect, because they're not going to listen to just me, or even, you know.
Well, as I remember, your book, Smashed, is going to use that as a theme, more or less, of interviewing celebrities.
Right.
Real people that are known people, not just a name that nobody can connect, but somebody where you mention the name, they go, oh yeah, you know, I see him in the media somewhere.
Right.
So that's part of the deal.
That is part of the deal, and it's, like I said, it's uncensored, and some of these people's stories are just really shocking, you know, and I've seen that. I've lived that, and so have they. So when it's put on paper, and it's just presented without censorship, you know, the good, the bad, and the ugly, basically. And that's what it is. It ends up being very, very ugly. But, you know, a lot of people have a lot of good times with that, and they can handle that. It's not good to do things that are illegal. But alcohol is a legal drug, and that's one thing I talk about in the book. Alcohol is one of the most addictive drugs that are on this planet. More people die from alcohol withdrawal non-medical than heroin withdrawal non-medical. People don't realize that. You know, you see the heroin addicts in the movies withdrawing, and it is very dramatic. I went through that. It's the most painful thing, that worse than child labor.
But alcoholism is worse.
It is worse. Alcoholism, and it's a legal drug. It's a drug.
So is this book, Smash, going to be more also educational, or is it just stories from these celebrities?
It's stories, and then it will, it depends on who I get for the clinician, whether I use myself or whether I get Drew Pensky, which I would love, because all the kids, they really respect him and listen to him.
Well, maybe when they watch this video, or he watches it, he'll be giving you a call.
That would be great. But they do look up to him, and he's got Loveline, the show on K-Rock, and it's syndicated throughout the United States. Millions and millions of listeners, teens and young adults, and I listen to it with my son. Very educational, and he's straight up with the kids. They ask him questions about sex, addiction, alcoholism, and there's no holds barred. I mean, they tell it like it is. They tell the truth and the facts. The facts. You get so much misinformation out there. I want these kids to know the facts, how it affects your brain. They will find out the facts, how it affects your brain, how it affects your liver, exactly what parts of the brain it affects, what kind of long-term damage, short-term damage, the effects on your mind of the different drugs, what they do to you, do they make you feel, what the withdrawal is like?
No, in all honesty, why is it going to be so different than what they already know, the pamphlets they get in schools, and why should they read a book like this?
Because it'll be interesting. It's not going to be boring. It's not going to be boring.
Because of the nature with interviewing the celebrities, it sounds like.
Well, it's not just because they're celebrities, but their story, the people I'm interviewing, their stories are you can't even, there's no novel out there that, you wouldn't believe it if you read this in a novel or saw it at the movies. These are real life stories. It's reality, it's like reality TV, but it's a reality book.
Let's talk about the silver Playboy bunny. What was that like?
Well, Ed, that was a contest for the 25th anniversary of Playboy. And it was 25th anniversary is silver. So I was the silver bunny. I got to wear the silver costume with the little banner that said 25th anniversary bunny, and I stood in the Century City Club, and people from all over the world would come and take photos with me. And it was right after the Ice Capades. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And then I starred in a couple movies and was in the music business for a while, and did a lot of cocaine and got involved with a lot of drugs in the entertainment business in the 80s.
I bet you did. Yeah, I'm sorry for the guy viewers. We don't have a picture of Maryel and her Playboy spread, but
it wasn't a Playboy spread.
Oh, I mean,
I never did a spread. I was in the silver costume.
Oh,
yes.
Well, you can see how my mind works.
Yeah, I'd rather be known for my work with addictions, frankly, anyway.
Okay, now we're going to talk about the Oprah Winfrey.
Oh, okay.
Let's talk about that. It was pretty interesting. You had a story and you missed out on it.
Yeah, well.
You want to talk about that, or?
Okay, sure.
It's not going to end up being.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Well, I've been going to Kansas City. Now I live in Kansas City.
Right.
I'm becoming a licensed Unity teacher at Unity Ministry. But for the last 2 years, I've been flying back and forth to Kansas City to get my pre-seminary requirements done. And when I came back in November, I had an email from Oprah's show. I'll read it to you. I happen to have it right here.
Yeah, please.
It says, "Hi, Dr. McKinley." This was November 9th, 2003. "Hi, Dr. McKinley. I'm an associate producer with the Oprah show, and I'm trying to reach you over the weekend. We are putting together a show on addictions, and I'm looking for an expert. If you can call my office or let me know where I can reach you, I'd appreciate it. Thank you." And I can't say the name of the producer or anything. There's a disclosure on here.
Well, that's quite an honor.
Yeah, and so I didn't receive this till, this was a Sunday. I got back on a Tuesday, so I guess they do their shows quick. First I called Silent Unity, which is a prayer ministry that's been around for 100 years at Unity Village. And I called there first and asked for divine order in this situation. Not my will, but thy will be done. And sure enough, divine order occurred. I called Oprah's producer after that, and she said, "Where have you been? We've been trying to get in touch with you. We just booked somebody 5 minutes ago."
Oh, no.
And 5 minutes before I was on the phone, praying. So it wasn't the right time for me to go on. But then I said, when would I would have gone on? And she said, well, you would have flown in tomorrow morning, and then Thursday morning you'd be on the show. And I had to be in court on Thursday. So it would not have worked anyway. And then about a month later, the Ricki Lake show asked me to be on, and I was unable to do that too because of the reason why I was in court.
The dentist.
Yeah, the dentist story.
We don't want to talk about the dentist, do we?
We can talk about the dentist.
No, it's up to you. I don't want to put you on the spot.
No, I came here to talk about the dentist.
You're going to hear about the dentist.
I had a best friend die in high school from a drunk driver. Actually, I had 13 friends die, close friends. I swore I would never drive or drive in a car with somebody if I was under the influence or somebody else was under the influence. I've been a counselor at drunk driving schools and drug and alcohol education schools. I've kind of devoted my life to educating people about not driving under the influence. Well, I had a toothache, went to the dentist on a Saturday. He said, you need an oral surgeon, and a pill is not going to help this. I'm going to have my nurses take you to the hospital next door. We'll give you a shot. I said, okay. So I went to the hospital and they gave me a shot, and I thought it was just going to be like Demerol or something, which I thought I could handle because I was a former heroin addict. And it turned out that they gave me Dilaudid, which is something you give cancer patients that are dying. I don't know why they gave me something like this for a toothache. And it got rid of the pain. I did not feel loaded because I have a very, very high tolerance. And I told the nurses, you don't need to drive me home. I can drive myself. And I felt bad that they had to take off work and drive half hour to Newport Beach. So I got in the car and drove under the influence of Dilaudid. 3 minutes from my home, I crashed into a car and went through the windshield of my car and injured somebody else's car. Thank God I didn't injure anybody else. So I ended up with a felony DUI and ended up going to jail for 3 weeks.
And that's why you missed the Oprah show.
Yeah, well, because I was supposed to go to court on Thursday, and then when I was in jail, I got an email from the Ricki Lake show. And
read us
yeah, I'll read you that. Well, first of all, I'd asked Oprah, I said, how did you find me? I never tried to get on your show. And she said, Deepak Chopra had recommended me. He's the best-selling author. And I was his addictionologist for his multimedia company, as you know, in 2001.
Right.
So that was a pretty good referral. She said, I'm still on the list. I told her about this book. And so I'll go on the show when the book comes out. But it was really ironic because a month later, while I'm in jail, the Ricki Lake show gets in touch with me. Says, please allow me to introduce myself. I'm the talent producer with Sony Pictures Television for the Ricki Lake Show. We recently launched into season 11, and this is a very exciting time for us. As we embark on this new season, we recognize the importance of keeping the show fresh. And this season, we will continue to tap into the trends and interests of our ever-evolving audience. On December 11th, 2003 at 3 o'clock, and I'm in jail when I get this. This was December 1st, and on December 11th, I was in jail too. The Ricki Lake Show will be taping a show that deals with teens and adults who are addicted to prescription medications. So we understand this is a highly sensitive topic. We plan to treat this and the guests with the utmost compassion and respect as we try to help them sort through their addiction. The Ricki Lake Show would be honored to have you, Dr. McKinley, as the resident expert for this topic. Your knowledge and expertise is what we're looking for to supplement this show. Understanding scheduling constraints, we hope our ambitions to work with you, Dr. McKinley, will become a reality. Then it goes on to talk about how the Ricki Lake Show delivers the highest audience concentration next to Oprah and for the syndicated talk show placement. And I got this email on the 15th when I came out of jail. So I called the producer up and respectfully told her I was in the field doing research, which is in a sense true. I didn't want to lie, but I didn't want to disclose at that time.
No,
I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
I am disclosing on this show for the first time to the public, and I will be sending a copy of this to Ricki Lake and Oprah.
This is the first time you've talked about it.
Yes, it is.
So the viewers, you saw it first on South Bay Interviews.
That's right.
Yeah.
So it's kind of ironic that a doctor, an addictionologist, a certified counselor of chemical dependency, an expert in the field. I've been quoted in Esquire magazine. I've been writing for these magazines for years. I'm writing a book on the subject to educate people. And I go and get in a car and drive under the influence of one of the strongest drugs that's on the market, and get in an accident. So it shows how cunning and baffling that any kind of drug, including alcohol, is a drug can be. You get in your car, you think you're fine. I'm an expert. I should know, right? No,
yeah.
you don't get behind the wheel.
That was your promise you made to yourself that you would never do it, and then maybe at the advice, if you want to call it that, of a doctor giving you something. And okay, so that's
since it's a doctor,
learning experience.
sometimes we think that this is why they were doing these shows.
But your mind doesn't know the difference. Your body doesn't know if a doctor gave it to you, or if you bought it off the street.
Thank you. Because or if it's alcohol, it doesn't matter. And that's why they were doing these shows on prescription medicine for Oprah and Ricki Lake, because people, they don't realize that, a drug is a drug is a drug. And you can get behind the wheel of a car from a prescription medicine, or even something over the counter like NyQuil or something like that, and you can actually, your body, your motor responses are not going to work the same. With me, I blacked out at the wheel. I'd never had a blackout in my life. all those drugs I had used. So even though you haven't had an experience in your past doesn't mean that you won't in the future. And I'd love, especially teens and young adults, to realize that you know, you can't smoke pot or drink and get behind the wheel of a car, let alone use heroin or Dilaudid or Coke or anything like that.
Anything mind-altering.
Yeah, anything
right?
mind-altering or mood-altering.
Now, I got a question to pose to you. Are you happier being away from all these substances right now?
Oh my gosh, I wouldn't be away from them.
Your life obviously is better.
Yeah, I wouldn't be away from the substances if I wasn't happier. I mean, a day in the life, the best day on drugs. No, wait a minute. The best day sober is better than...
You mean the worst?
The worst day sober is better than the best day on drugs? Is that how it goes?
I think.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, I would not be sober if I wasn't happier. Why would I be? You know,
Well,
if it worked for me, I'd still be using it because I'm an addict and I can't stop once I put that in my body. But, I mean, because my life became totally dysfunctional. I couldn't function without drugs. I could not function. I couldn't even leave my house at the end. I would cry, putting a needle in my arm, crying, saying, I hate this. I don't like the way it makes me feel. I hate using this stuff. The last few years were like that, but why do I have to keep doing this? You know, spending all your money, destroying your body, destroying your mind, destroying your life, destroying the lives of those around you. It's a nightmare out there.
Now,
it's
how
really
would
hell.
somebody get a hold of you if they're having trouble in this area of drug addiction, substance abuse of any sort, or a parent for their kid? How do they get a hold of you?
Well, I have a website, and my website is www.drmaryelmckinley.com, and I'll spell that for you. It's DrMaryelMckinley.com. So it's my name, right. DrMaryelMcKinley.com. You can email me from the website, and I will answer all emails, and I will try to help you however I can.
Excellent. Do you have any last thoughts? Is there anything I missed about you want to talk about? We got maybe a minute or two.
You know, I think that you said it all, and I just hope this helps somebody. If it helps one person, it's done its job. So thank you for having me on. I appreciate the opportunity.
No, you're very welcome. And by the way, is California nicer than Kansas City?
Yes. But I still love Kansas City.
All right. So we're going to say goodbye. Have a good trip back.
Thank you so much, Ed. It's
Thanks
great to
for
see
being
you.
on the show.
Thank you.